now going to start very interesting concept which is called fundamental principle of counting. Fundamental principle of counting. They are very fundamental. They are so fundamental that we may not able to mathematically derive them. Okay. Let's talk about them first in order to understand it. So there are two fundamental principles that we are going to come across in our chapter. One is called the addition principle. Okay. And the other one is called the multiplication principle. However, you will come across one more principle which is called principle of inclusion and exclusion. But that is an advanced version of that uses ideas from these two concepts. Okay. So addition and multiplication, they are known to be the fundamental principle of counting. Now, what is this principle and why they are called fundamental? For that, let me take an example. Let us talk about the first one. Let us talk about the addition principle. Okay. Let me give you a scenario. Let me give you a scenario. Let us say you are going from Bengaluru to Chennai. Okay, you are going from Bengaluru to Chennai. Okay, you can go from Bengaluru to Chennai via two set of routes. One passes through a city called Hyderabad, and other passes through a city called Jolarpet. Okay, and through Hyderabad there are three buses or three bus services which take you to Chennai. Okay, all of them go via Hyderabad. Okay, so let's say one is the KSRTC, other is the AP SRTC, Andhra Pradesh State Transport Corporation, and other is some private bus services like Parvati Bus, like that. Okay, and other is like through Jolarpet. Jolarpet is a place in Tamil Nadu. So let's say 4 bus services take you to Chennai from via the route which crosses through Jolarpet. Okay. My question to you is very simple question. I'll ask you. In how many ways can you go from Bengaluru to Chennai? These are the only two paths which is available. How many ways can you go from? How many ways to travel from B to C? What will your answer be? What will your answer be? 7 ways. Essentially, what did you do? You added 3 and 4. May I know the reason why you added them? Why didn't you multiply them? Why didn't you do 3 to the power 4? Why didn't you do 4 to the power 3? What made you add them? Right. Your answer will be, sir, it's very obvious. It's very trivial. By logic, you can say, I can take any one of these route or any one of these route. And or means addition in maths. So you can give all kind of justification to your answer. But this is which is very fundamental. Explaining this is very difficult. If I ask you to prove this through hardcore mathematics, it will become very difficult for you to prove it. It's like why there is a gravitation attraction between two bodies. Why? Why if I drop my pen and fall towards the center of the earth? Why doesn't it fly off? You'll say gravitation, but what is the reason for that gravitation? So why the two objects? Why does a proton attract an electron? Why doesn't it just move like in a normal way? Why the attraction force should exist? Don't ask this question. Of course, that's what a teacher will tell you, because these things are very fundamental, right? You cannot explain why there is a gravity in a body. In fact, still research work is going on. Big Bang replica is trying to be created in these, this colliders, right? CERN collider and all. I'm sure NPS students would have visited the CERN colliders. So still, it is very difficult to answer these questions. What brings gravity inside a body, or why there is a fundamental force of repulsion or attraction between like charges and unlike charges. So in the same way, this is very fundamental, right? it comes naturally to you that you'll add them. Okay. So if I have to generalize this in the language of a mathematical principle, this is what I will say. In general, that if there is a task, if there is a task T, which can be done independently, by performing any one of these subtasks, let's say T1, T2, T3, etc. ... These are your some subtasks. Let's say I go till R. Okay. So if you perform any one of these subtasks, your task is said to be completed independently. For example, let us say here your task was to go from Bengaluru to Chennai. Correct? So if you take that, if you do a subtask of going through this route, let's say I call this route as H1 route. Is your task completed? You'll say, yes, I reached from Bangalore to, I traveled from Bangalore to Chennai. My task is done. Is your task completed when you take H2 route? Yes. Is your task completed when you take S3 route? Yes. Is your task completed when you take J1 route? Yes. J2 route? Yes. J3 route? Yes. J4 route? Yes. Correct. So if your task can be completed independently by doing any one of these subtasks, then we say that the total number of ways of doing the task is summation of the total number of ways of doing these subtasks. Okay, I can go from 1 to R. This is your fundamental principle of addition. Simple as that. Is this clear? Any questions? In a similar way, let me just talk about quickly multiplication principle. Multiplication principle. The same question now. Bangalore to Chennai, same problem. Okay. Now this time you have to pass through a place which is called. Tell me any place between Bangalore to Chennai. People who frequent from Bangalore to Chennai, guys, help me out. Tell me any place. Hosur. Yeah, Hosur. Hosur. I like HO. Now there are 3 bus routes from Bangalore to Hosur. Okay. So you have to take a stop at Hosur. You have to change the bus. And then there are 4 buses available from Hosur to Chennai. Okay. So 3 bus routes available here, 4 bus routes available here, and you have to take a stop at and change your bus at Hosur. Okay. You cannot fly in the same bus. Okay. You have to change some bus there. Now, in how many ways can you travel from B to C? How many ways can you travel from B to C? Obviously, your answer will be 3 into 4, isn't it? 12 ways, correct? Again, the same old question. Why did you choose to multiply them? Who asked you to multiply them? Okay, you can only justify by saying, sir, for every route from B to HO, there are 4 routes available from HO to C, isn't it? For every route from Bengaluru to Hosur, there are 4 options available from Hosur to C, right? So I can travel my Bangalore to Hosur journey in 3 ways and Hosur to Chennai journey in 4 ways. So and means, and is the logical operator, which means I have to multiply. So 3 into 4, that's my answer. Again, it's very fundamental. I can't mathematically derive to this result. Okay. So if I have to generalize this principle, I will say that in general, if there is a task T which is considered to be complete only when you do all the subtasks under it. So there is a task which is said to be completed only when you do all the subtasks associated with it. So you have to complete T1, T2 all the way till TR in order to complete T. That means T is, let's say, broken into subtasks and all the subtasks have to be completed. And if the number of ways to do subtasks T1 is n T1, number of ways to do subtask T2 is n T2, etc. And the number of ways to do subtask R is n TR. Then the number of ways to do the task is the product of this. Okay. So you can say it is the big pi of NTI, I from 1 to R, whatever. Okay. So these concepts are very, very fundamental. And right now you will be able to answer it at the drop of your hat. But trust me, when it comes to problem solving, I have seen people messing it up a big time. They will add where they are supposed to multiply. They will multiply where they are supposed to add. Right? See guys, we are counting without actually counting. So we have to rely on these basic principles in order to expedite our counting process. Right? We cannot literally count 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? We have a limited time and this space to count. Okay. Let us see the application. Let me begin with a small question, very, very small question. Let's say you are a railway master of Bengaluru station. Okay. And you have been given 5 colored flags. You have been given 5 colored flags, all of different color, 5 distinct color flag. I would add over here, distinct color flag. Let's say your flag colors are VIBGI, V for violet, I for indigo, B for blue, G for green, and Y for yellow. Okay. Let's say you have 5 distinct color flags, and you can make a signal out of these flags by at least using 2 flags. Okay. So a signal can be made only by at least, what happened to my spelling? At least using 2 flags. Okay. So a signal is said to be generated only when you use a minimum of 2 flags. Okay. My question is, how many signals can you generate? What is the number of total signals you can generate? Few things I would like to add over here. Each color can be used only once, because I'm sure you would ask this question, sir, is the repetition allowed like that? Okay. So you have only 5 distinct color, no repetition is there. Okay. And a signal requires at least 2 flags. And thirdly, if you switch the position of the colors, it will be considered to be a different signal. For example, let us say I make a signal which has got violet over here, green over here, and the same color flags, if I swap like this, green over here, violet over here, I get a different signal. So these are different signals. Okay. Tell me, how many signals can you generate? Okay. Aditya, Pooja, very good. Not saying right or wrong to any one of you. I hope you have understood the meaning of at least 2 flags. Means 2, 3, 4, or 5 flag signal can also be generated. Okay, Shashwat, very good. Guys, again, as I told you, this chapter basically tests your skills more than your knowledge. Okay. And most of the time, as a teacher, I feel tied up that I'm not able to impart those skills. Okay. Of course, I will tell you all the concepts, but there are some things which is beyond my delivery. I mean, I cannot teach you. In fact, nobody can teach you. It's like dialogue delivery, correct? You cannot replicate Shah Rukh Khan's dialogue delivery, right? Can you? Even if you practice, because he's blessed with that art, right? Right? You cannot challenge him, you cannot beat him in that particular skill. So even if I train you with the dialogue part of it, the delivery style will not come. Right? I'm giving some funny examples. Oh, very good, Anurag. I can see right answers on my screen now. Right now, Pooja also has changed her answer. Right. Very good. The answer is 320. Absolutely correct. No, Shashwat. No. Okay, now see, here I will have to make cases. So there can be four cases that can come up. I can either make a signal with a 2 flag, or let me write here, or I can make a signal with 3 flag. My flags look like Nepal flags. Or your signal can be made up of 4 flags. Okay. Or your signal can be made up of 5 flags. Correct. So these are your 5 possibilities or 5 cases, I would say. Correct. Sorry, 4 cases, I would say. That means independently, the job of making a signal can be accomplished by doing any one of these 4. Are you getting my point? Now, if I want to make a 2 flag signal, how many ways can I choose the first flag? We'll say 5 ways because there are 5 colors available. Now, since repetition is not allowed, I can choose the second flag in 4 ways. Correct? Now, what should I do with this 5 and 4? Should I add them or should I multiply them? In order to know how many 2 flag signals I can make, should I add 5 and 4 or should I multiply 5 and 4? Yes, multiply. Why multiply and why not add? If I say add, then basically I'm trying to say that if I just choose the first flag, I'm done with making 2 flags, 2 flag signal, which is not correct. You'll say, sir, that's absurd, right? How can you choose 1 flag and say I have completed my 2 flag signal, right? I have to choose the first flag and the second flag. The moment you spell this out in your mind, the moment you're using and, multiplication will come. The moment you're using or like cases, addition will come. That's where your fundamental principles will feature in. So 5 into 4, 20. So 20 ways to make a 2 signal flag. Similarly, 5, 4, 3, 60 ways to make a 3 signal flag. 5, 4, 3, 2, 120 ways to make a 4 signal flag. And again 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again 120 ways to make a 5 signal flag. Since these are odd or they are cases, you need to add your answer, which gives you 320 flags. 320 ways or 320 flags. Okay. So 320 different signals can be generated by the station master. Okay. So he can, make up 320 scenarios from that flag. Again, this is a very good example where all the skills are getting tested. Okay, addition principle, multiplication principle. Okay, let me test you on this. Very simple question I'll ask you. There is a room. Okay, this room has got 10 bulbs, light bulbs. Okay, of course I'll not draw all of them. Okay, all these bulbs are operated by different switches. Okay, this is switch 1, switch 2, switch 10. Okay, my question is, in how many ways can the room be lit up? Can the room be lit up? In how many ways can the room be lit up? Good, Advik, very good. Lit up means there is light in the room. Now, a room can be lit up even if 1 bulb is on, or 2 bulbs are on, or 3 bulbs are on, or even all 10 bulbs are on. Very good, Aditya. No Hariharan, that's not right. No Vaibhav, that's not right. So far, Advik and Aditya have given the right answer. Again, I cannot teach this, Baba. I mean, this is something which is like 50% skills and of course 50% knowledge. No, Adrija, that's not correct. 2 minutes for this, okay? No, Himanshu, that's not correct. See, just because you know factorial formula or you know your NPR or NCR, whatever you've done in school, don't try to impose this on solving a problem. Okay. A hammer doesn't decide what should be the what should be the structure of my house, right? Hammer is used when I know what to build. Okay, formulas do not decide how to solve the question. Formulas are used to solve the question. Yeah, question is, there are 10 bulbs in this room, all of them being operated individually by single switches. As bulb 1 has its own switch, bulb 2 has its own switch. So let's say you are 10 switches in that room, right? In how many ways can you lit up the room? Let's say I can lit up the room by pressing second and sixth one. That's one way to do it. I can lit up the room just by pushing the first switch. That's another way to light up the room. I can lit up the room if I switch all of them on. That's another way to lit up the room. No, Shashwat. Right, Adrija, that's correct. Hariharan, correct. No, only the combination of the switches you are using that matters. I think this is a question from Hariharan. So let's say 2, 6 are on, that's one combination. 1, 6 is on, that's another combination. It doesn't matter whether 2, 6 was on like 6 first and 2 first, 2 later on, or 2 first and 6 later on. That doesn't matter. The combinations you are using to light up the room, that is what you're looking for. I've used the word combination, so many of you would feel like using the combination. That is also fine, you can use it, but there's an easier way to do it. See, every switch can only be in 2 positions, on or off. Correct? Yes or no? So switch 1 can be on or off, or bulb 1 can be on or off, on or off, on or off, like that. Okay. Now, if you want to lit up your room, okay, you have to do something with these all the states of on and off. Correct? Switch 1 either will be on or off, and switch 2 either will be on and off, and switch 3 either will be on and off, like that. Correct? So you are doing something to these switches, whether you are keeping it on the off position or you are keeping it in the on position. So fundamental principle of counting says, when every switch has got 2 options and you have to do something with all the switches, that means you'll multiply them and your answer will be 2 to the power 10. But hold on. 2 to the power 10 will also include that particular case when every switch decides to be in the off position. In that case, the room will not be lit up. Right? So that one situation you need to subtract. So your answer is actually 2 to the power 10 minus 1. Got the point? So why people who say 2 to the power 10, you were wrong. It's because you forgot to subtract that one case. And trust me, this minus 1 becomes so crucial because you will see the options in your question paper of 2 to the power 10 also. And you will mark that and come out getting a negative 1. Huh. Then in that case, you will have to use your more difficult formula. Then it will become NP0, NP1 plus NP2 and so on, like that. Okay, of course, minus 1. See, Namrata, every bulb will have 2 states, on or off. Correct? Correct. So now let us say I've asked you to provide a state to every bulb. Correct? So if I have to provide a state to every bulb and every bulb has got 2 states, a state of on or a state of off, then I can basically operate on these states in 2 to the power 10 ways. Is that part clear? Let's say off, 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 on, off, on, off, on, off. This is one state. Correct? So like that, I can create 1024 states with these 10 bulbs. Correct? Out of these 1024, that is 2 to the power 10 states, there is one such state where every bulb will be in the off position. correct? That state is not required, because if that is there, your room will never be lit up. How can you lit up a room with every bulb off? So that one state I subtracted it off. Okay. If at all you have done combinations in your school, your answer will be NC1, NC2. In this case, it will be 10C1, 10C2, all the way till 10C10. 10C1, 10C2, all the way till 10C10, which comes out to be 2 to the power 10 minus 1. If you have done combinations in your school. But as of now, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later on. What I wanted to test whether you are skilled enough to handle this chapter with minimum guidance. Okay. Okay, let me ask you another question. When I was a child, I will not say when I was young because I'm still young. So when I was a kid, we used to go to you can say post boxes used to be there like this. You can ask your parents also. Okay. Where we used to put in our letters. Okay. So when I used to communicate with my relatives, we used to go to these post boxes. We used to post our letters. Of course, now messages and emails all have come. Okay. So let's say there are 4 letter boxes. Okay. And I have got 7 letters with me. How many ways can I post my letters? How many ways can I post these 7 letters? How many ways can I post the 7 letters? I've started getting 2 answers. My God. 4 to the power 7, 7 to the power 4, 7 into 4. Somebody like 7 factorial like that? Of course, one of you or one of these answers is correct. Whoever 4 letter boxes, 7 letters. How many ways can you post it? Over. This is the question. Okay, Aditya, that we'll discuss. That we'll discuss. So I understood your logic. The moment you write the answer, I understand the logic. Okay, Nishant, good. Okay, some different answer I got. 7 into 6 into 5 into 4. Okay, very good. Now see, any number of letters can go in any box. If I want, I can post all my 7 letters in box 1. It is my call. Just because I have 4 letter boxes, I don't have to oblige all the letter boxes, right? If I want, I can post all my letters in one box. Or let's say I can post all my letters only in 2 of them. Let's not calculate it. Give me the answer in the crude form, on the raw form, so that I know the logic behind your answer. Okay, Shes. Cool. Okay. The answer to this is 4 to the power 7. Right? I know many of you would be like surprised, would like to know the justification. See, again, it is like the right algorithm to choose to get your work done faster. Why I chose this, why I'm choosing this algorithm. In fact, let me tell you what is the algorithm first. Every letter will have 4 choices. Correct? So letter 1, if I look at letter 1, I can either put it in box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4. Correct? Letter 2 has got 4 choices. Now, if I post letter 1 in one of the boxes, does it stop me from posting letter 2 in the same box? No, right? So posting a letter L1 in one of the box doesn't diminish the chances of letter 2 going into the same box, isn't it? So every letter has 4 options on their own. Correct? That means there are 4 ways to perform these subtasks each. And my task is posting all the letters. So by fundamental principle of multiplication, my answer will be 4 into 4 into 4, 7 times, which is 4 to the power 7. This is your answer. Now, those who have said 7 into 6 into 5 into 4, what is the reason behind that answer? You are basically making the letter box the choosers. So letter box 1 can choose a letter in 7 ways to fall into it. Correct? Yes or no? Correct? But remember, letter box 1, it may not have 7 options, right? It may not want, all the letters to fall into it, or it may want all the letters to fall into it. So when every letter falls into it, it has got only one way to do it. Are you getting my point? So if you are making letter box the choosers, you will have to take lot of cases into consideration. Number 1, how many letters will fall into that? That is to be taken into consideration. So you have to do a distribution of 7 between these 4 people. Not only that, let's say if you distribute it like this, let's say I am going to put 3 letters over here, 1 here, 1 here, and let's say 2 here. Then which 3 will go into this? That is what you need to account for. Which one will go for this? That is what you are going to account for. So it is like choosing a lengthy and complicated algorithm to solve the problem when you can solve it in a simpler way. See, I'm thinking like a coder, right? If I want to code something, if I want to solve a problem, I would always go for the simplistic algorithm. I can write something in 10 lines and I can write something in 100 lines. Of course, I will always go for 10 lines. I'm not denying that you cannot solve the question by making the letter box the choosers, because if you do, you have to resort to different number of distribution between them. Are you getting my point? That will only lead to a very, very complicated means to get the answer, right? But when you make the letters the choosers, every letter has a fixed option of 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. There is no if and but there is no cases there. You can easily get to a required answer. Yes, Madhav. So I would not recommend you to solve the question by making a distribution over here, because you will end up into lot of distributions. 700 could be there, 0700 could be there, 007 could be there, 1115 could 4 could be there. So many, you don't get into that lengthy calculations. Okay, so answer is 4 to the power 7. Yeah, Madhav, you had some question? You can speak it out. You don't have to always type it out. Okay, a very similar related question I would ask you. Let's say, okay, let's take few questions from your DPPs also, so that. Yeah, let's take this question. This is a very simple question. This is just based on your direct application of the fundamental principle of counting. There are 6 roads between A and B, 4 roads between B and C. How many ways can one drive from A to C by way of B? Basically, this is your exact same example which I had given to you. First part answer. Everybody should give me first part answer. 24, absolutely correct. So 6 ways to go from B to A to B, 4 ways to go from B to C. So if you want to reach C via B, your number of ways will be 6 into 4, 24. Why not 6 plus 4? Because if I just go from A to B, my job is not done. If I just go from B to C, my job is not done. I have to go from A to B and B to C. Okay. Second part. In how many ways can one drive from A to C and back to A, passing through B again? So you have to go from A to B, B to C, then C to B again, then B to A again. Now, see, people are making mistakes. I'm getting two types of answers here, 48 and 576. Guys, these principles look very simple, but when it comes to their application, people make mistakes. See, again, don't get confused. Read in your mind what you have to do. What is the total task? I have to go from A to B, and I have to go from B to C, and I have to go from C to B, and I have to go from C to A. Sorry, B to A. Correct? The moment you speak it in your mind, your job will be easy. So A to B 6 ways, B to C 4 ways, C to B again 4 ways, B to A again 6 ways. And since all of these subtasks have to be completed in order to consider that you have taken a round trip from A to C and C to A back, your answer will be 6 into 4 into 6 into 4. That's 24 square. That's 576. Got the point? Okay. Some people who said 44, basically you added 48 plus 48, thereby saying that if you just go from A to C, your job is done. Or if you just go from C to A, your job is done. No, you have to do the going and coming back. Okay. Third one. In how many ways can one drive the circular trip described in two? Circular trip means to and fro. Don't think like it has to be a circle kind of a thing, right? So I have to go from A to B, B to C, then back from C to B and B to A, but without using the same road more than once. This is a restriction coming into the picture. Okay, Adrija. Okay, Madhav, very good. Aditya, good. Okay. Now see here, A to B 6 ways. Oh, sorry. A to B 6 ways. B to C 4 ways. Now C to B, I cannot use the way which I used to go from B to C. So I am only left with 3 ways. Okay. So the path which I drove from B to C, I cannot take the same path again. And when you're going from B to A back, I cannot take the same path which I took from A to B. So your total number of ways will be 6 into 4 into 3 into 5, which is actually 360. Absolutely correct. Very good. Let's move on to the next question. 39. How come 39? Even if you add it, it doesn't give you 39. Oh, you added 24 plus 15. Ayyo, Shreyas. Shreyas, speak it in your mind. You'll never make a mistake. Whenever you're solving a question, just speak it in your mind. Okay. Okay, let's take Krishna. Okay. I'll put the poll on. Yeah, these chapters are very interesting. Whenever I teach these chapters in the physical mode, the class is, I can say, more loud. I mean, there are a lot of discussions going around. No, da, not this way. No, da, this way, this way. I just recall one of the incidences we had in Koramangala. So I was taking the class in NPS Koramangala, and the principal ma'am was sitting in her room. And these students were so animated. They were discussing that she just came running. What happened? People are shouting at each other, no, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And she told that I never knew maths classes are so interesting. Yes, I've got 2 responses so far. Number of natural numbers that are there from 1 to 1000, which have none of their digits repeated. Which have none of their digits repeated. Yeah, correct. Aditya, sorry, I saw your question right now. Yes, you're correct. Almost 2 minutes over. Let's have another 30 seconds. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Please vote. Let's do one more thing today. For a change, we'll take, if you're not able to solve the question, or let's say if your options are not matching with those given in the question, take a guesswork also. Because then you'll come to know how good a guesswork you can make actually. Okay, that's a part of our training process. So let's say those who have not voted, because you are not able to solve the question or for whatever reason, take a guess. I want everybody to vote. And then keep a track of whether after the end of the class, most of your guessings was correct or not. Okay, of course, you should always take a intelligent guess. For example, I will never mark 81. Okay, let's close the poll. Most of you have actually voted for A and C. A and C. Let us check. Now, when you're choosing your numbers from 1 to 1000, your number can either be a single digit number, or it could be a double digit number, or it could be a triple digit number, or it could be a 4 digit number, which is itself 1000, but I'm not including it because it has got 3 repeated digits into it. Okay. So basically, my number can be made up in these 3 cases because they independently make a number between 1 to 1000. Guys, try to understand the fundamental principle by breaking your concepts into simpler parts. So my job is what? My job is to make a natural number from 1 to 1000. So I can make a natural number from 1 to 1000 by these 3 cases. Now, let us go into details for each of the case. How many ways can I make a single digit number? Of course, 1 onwards, you'll say 9 ways, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Okay. How many ways can I make a double digit number? Now, double digit number, please be careful. You cannot put a 0 in the first place. Because if you put a 0 in a case of a double digit number in the tens place, it will become a single digit number, which you have already taken care in the first case. Are you getting my point? So multiple repetitions of counting will happen over here. That means you're counting single digit number more than once. This is called false counting. Okay, a double counting. Correct? So when 0 cannot come in the first place, then only 1 to 9 is eligible to come in the first place. So the first place can be filled up in 9 ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Correct? Now second place can still be filled in 9 ways. Why? Because now 0 here can come. Right? And which number cannot come? The one which already came in the tens place. So let's say I filled up the tens place with a 4. Now 4 is not available for selection, but 0 is now available for selection. So this place will also be 9. That means a 2-digit number or 2-digit number with no repetition that you can make is only 81. Okay. You can count it if you want to in your free time. Okay. So a 2-digit number with both the digits different, or there is no repetition, so as to say, can only be 81 in number. Similarly, if you want to make a 3-digit number and you don't want 0 to come in the hundreds place over here, This can be filled up in 9 way. This can be filled up in again a 9 way, because now 0 is available. And this can be filled in 8 way, right? Why 9 here? Because 0 is not available. Why 9 here? Because 0 is available, but the number which got used up in the hundreds place, that is not available. Correct? Why 8 here? Because now two numbers have already gone in the first two places. Are you getting my point? So altogether, this will be 81 into 8. 81 into 8 is 648. Now, do I multiply these three or do I add these three? Of course, if you look at the options, you can't multiply it. You have to add it, because these are different ways by which independently you can make a 3-digit number, and your answer will be 90 plus 648, which is 738. Option number A is the right option. So most of you went for A. However, most of you were wrong also. But as I told you to guess, most of you have guessed. So let's move on. This is a passage based question. So there are 3 questions based on this passage. This is a small one-liner passage. 4 prizes are distributed among 5 students. Then question number 23. How many ways can the prize be distributed if no student gets more than 1 prize? Poll is on. I'm just, the poll is on only for 23rd question. Okay, don't mark anything else here. Four prizes are to be distributed among 5 students. How many ways can you distribute if no student gets more than 1 prize? Okay. So far, 4 votes I've got, and all of them have voted for the same. Oh, now I've got a different answer. Okay, good. Everybody should vote. Everybody, whether you're able to get it or not, just check how many counts you had where you guessed and you got it correct. So this historic data will actually tell you after 2 years that, okay, at the end of the 2 years, you realized you were a good guesser. So you should guess in the actual exam also. I'll give you 1 more minute from here on. Twenty of you have almost voted. Okay, last 30 seconds. Now this question is very similar to that letterbox question that I asked you. Okay, let me end the poll first. Okay, in the next 5 seconds, those 4 of you who have not voted, please take a guess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Most of you have said option number B. B for Bengaluru. Okay, let's check. Now, here, the most efficient way is when you make prizes the choosers. Okay, so you have 4 prizes. Okay, P1, P2, P3, P4. Okay. Now, prize 1 can go to any one of these 5 students. Correct? Right? Is there an option for prize 1 to not go anywhere? No, because the question says you have to distribute. Distribute means give away. You cannot say that, okay, I choose not to give away prize 1. No, it cannot happen. Okay. You have to give away P1 to somebody. Correct? With somebody, any one of the 5. So this has 5 options. Now P2 cannot go to the same person to which P1 has gone, because then one student will get more than one prize, which you don't want to happen. You're saying no student should get more than one prize. So this can go to 4 persons. This can go to 3. This can go to 2. And since all the prizes must be given away, fundamental principle of multiplication says you need to multiply it, and your answer will be 120, which is option number B. Are you getting my point? Those who said 4 to the power 5, basically you made the students the choosers. Correct? Are you getting my point? Now, a student may not get any prize. In fact, even if you are distributing it, there will be so many cases. Student 1, let's say he may get 1 prize. Student 2, he may get 1 prize. 3 may get 1, 4 may get 1, 5 may not get anything. Correct? Similarly, this 1-1-0 combination can go around. So many cases will form there from there. Now, which one prize? That also is a matter. Okay. So basically, here you have to take the most efficient way to solve the question. Next one, 24th question. I'm putting the poll on for this. Let's solve this. If each student is eligible for all prizes, find the number of ways in which you can do that. Now, I'm sure you will get this answer right, because I know 2 types of answers will come here, A or C. There is actually 5 to the power 4 or 4 to the power 5. That confusion is still there. I don't know why. Still there. What's your answer, Anurag? I don't get to know the poll. Who has polled what? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so this is like every prize has got 5 options, because you can give any number of prizes to anybody. So if, let's say, if you give P1 to any one of the 5, P2 can also go to the same student if you want to. So there will be these many options in which you can distribute your prize, which is 5 to the power 4, which is 625. Option number A. Okay. So it was very much a 50-50 case. As you can see, 13 of you went for A and 8 of you went for C. All right. So one more opportunity to take revenge of your previous problem. Question number 25, poll is on. It says, if no student gets all the prizes, find the number of ways in which you can distribute. This is pretty easy. Right, Madhav? Right. Actually, you have done all the hard work in question number 24 only. Correct. Your answer definitely cannot be more than 625. So C and D cannot be your answer. This is by elimination, actually. Okay, actually, I have given out the answer, so there's no point continuing with the poll. Okay, so anyways, most of you have got this right. Answer is 620. See, why 620? Let us logically understand it. See, if you have given all the prize to one guy, there can be 5 such cases. Let's say all the prize goes to student number 1, or all the prize goes to student number 2, or all the prize goes to student number 3, or all the prize goes to student number 4, or all the prize goes to student number 5. So there are 5 such cases where all the prize land up in the bag of one of the students, which you don't want. Correct? So 5 to the power 4 was without any restriction. So it also included those 5 cases where all the prize goes to one particular student or one student. So those 5 cases you need to remove. So your answer is 620, of course. Now, Why not 5 into 5 into 5 into 4? Why should it be 5 into 5 into 5 into 4? Let me ask that question first. Madhav. So basically what I'm trying to guess from your answer that you're first making all the 5 available. Okay. So you are making one prize, let's say prize P1, available to any one of the 5 students. Okay, fine, right? Now you are making prize number 4, the decider, right? Correct? So you are basically undercounting. You are undercounting when you're doing that, right? So you're saying prize number 4 should be clubbed with somebody else in order to make one student get 2 prizes, right? That is what you're trying to say. So that one such case that a particular student doesn't get all the prizes is null and void. But what if 1 and 2 are paired up? Are you getting the point? So that will create undercounting. Okay. This is very critical, guys. I mean, we have to think through in order to get the right answer. Let's take another question. Let's take another question. I think these are all not this one. These are all high level questions which you have not done so far. Yeah, let's take this one. The number of ordered pairs m comma n, where m and n both belong to the set 1 to 50, such that 6 to the power m plus 9 to the power n is a multiple of 5. I'm putting the poll on. All right, so almost 1.5 minutes gone. Guys, I'll give you 30 more seconds. Can you wrap this up? See, PNC questions are not that time taking questions, but yes, if you get the right connection, you will do it within 5-10 seconds. If you get a wrong connection, probably you will take forever. Okay. So let's conclude this in another 30 seconds. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vote. Yeah, take a guess. I mean, even if you're not able to solve it, it's fine. Absolutely fine. All right. So most of you have gone with option number A and B. A and B. Okay. Let's check. See, you have to choose pairs from 1 to 50. So M can take anywhere from 1 to 50, N can take anywhere from 1 to 50. Correct. And the pairs will be chosen in such a way that this number here comes out to be a multiple of 5. Now try to understand this. Multiple of 5 will always end in a 0 or a 5. Right? Everybody knows that. Now 6 to the power m, no matter whatever is your m, will always end in a 6. Correct? Right? And 9 to the power n will either end in a 1. Okay, when will it end in a 1? When n is even. Or it will end in a 9. Right? When will it end in a 9? When n is odd. Correct? Now, when you're adding a number which ends in a 6 to some number which ends either in a 1 or ends in a 9, you will end up getting a number which either ends with a 7 or it ends in a 5. Correct? Because 6 plus 1, 7, and 6 plus 9 will be 15, but only 5 will stay, 1 will be carried forward. Correct? So now I want only those numbers which end in a 5 because they will be only divisible by 5. Correct? So how many choices do you have for m and n in this way? Now think like that. So m, you will say I have 50 choices because any number I can choose from 1 to 50. There's no restriction on m for me. Of course, restricted only by the set, right? But for n, I can only have odd number choices of n, like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and so on. How many odd numbers can you pick up from 1 to 50? 25 odd numbers. So you have to choose both your m and n. Guys, speak this in your mind. Because if an option like 75 is sitting, some of you will mark 75 also. Okay. Even though you came this way, this long way out, up, but still you will make a mistake and fall down to -1. So ask yourself, is my job done if I only choose an m? Or is my job done if I only choose an n? No, right? Both have to be chosen. So fundamental principle of multiplication will be applicable. So our answer will be 50 times 25, which is 1250. Option number A is correct. Okay. So, all right. So let's look into the next question. I hope everybody is back after the break. So next question is, there are 10 different books in a shelf. The number of ways in which 3 books can be selected so that exactly 2 of them are consecutive. That means exactly 2 of them are side by side. Okay. Let's attempt this question. I'll put the poll on. Let's have 2.5 minutes for this, not more than that. Question is understood, right? No problem with understanding the question. Okay. Very good. I have got one response so far. That was roughly around 1 minute. . 45 seconds more. Fifteen seconds more. Take a guess if you're not able to reach to any conclusion. No issues if you're not able to solve it. Don't get disheartened. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, most of you have gone with option number C. Let us check. Now, let us say these are the 10 books that are there on the shelf. B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, B10. Okay. Now here, if you see the last two books over here and the last two books over here, okay, there is nothing before the B1, B2 book and there is nothing after B9, B10 book. Okay. So this makes me break my problem into cases. Okay. What cases? Case number one, let's say if I end up choosing the two books which are at the corner position. Okay. So I have to pick up three books and exactly two of them should be consecutive. So let's say if I end up picking either B1, B2 combination, right? Or I could end up picking B9, B10 combination, right? So if let's say if I pick up B1, B2 combination, then the third book can be picked up from B4, B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, B10. That means I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to pick up this guy. Correct? In a similar way, if I pick up B9, B10 combination, then there would be again 7 ways to pick up this guy. Correct? So total number of ways in which you can pick up three books where the two consecutive books are the ones which are positioned at the end of the shelf would be 7 plus 7, which is 14. Right? So this is the answer for case 1. Let us take another case where the two consecutive books which I am picking up, they do not belong to the end positions of the shelf. That means I can pick up, let me remove this, else you'll get confused. I can pick up B2, B3 pair, or I can pick up B3, B4 pair, or I can pick up B4, B5, B5, B6, B6, B7, B7, B8, B8, B9, B9. No, not B9, B10. Okay. Because I've already taken care of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 such pairs I can pick up for the two books which I want to be consecutive. Correct? So the two books which I want to be consecutive, I can pick this pair in 7 ways. This pair in 7 ways. Now the third pair, the third book that I have to pick up, let us say I pick up B3, B4 pair. If I pick B3, B4 pair, I cannot pick B2 and I cannot pick B5. I can only pick from B1, B6, B7, B8, B9, B10. Correct? So for one of the pairs, or for any one of the pairs out of this 7, you can pick the third book in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways. So this third book can be picked up in 6 ways. So 7 into 6, 42 ways to do your case number 2. I'll repeat once again. If you end up picking up any one of these pairs which I have shown with the yellow dashes, then the third book can only be picked up in 6 ways. For example, let's say if I pick up these two guys, then the third book cannot be B9 and B6, because then if I do that, they will become consecutive. All will become consecutive, right? So you can only pick up B10 or B5 or B4 or B3 or B2 or B1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 for every pair, 6 combinations are there. So 7 into 6, 42. Since their cases, I will add them. And your answer will become 56. Definitely option number C is correct. Most of you have voted for C, by the way. Is it clear? Now, this is beyond any kind of a formula or factorial notation. It is just based on your skills of counting. Let us take another one. Any explanation that you need over here? Can I move on to the next slide? Okay. This is a question which I'll give you from my side. Let's say the word centum. Okay, centum. How many alphabets are there in centum? 6 alphabets. Okay, CENTUM. Okay. Now my question is, you make all possible 6-letter words from centum. Of course, without any repetition of the word. And arrange them in a dictionary. Okay. So you make, again I'm repeating the question, you make all 6-letter words from centum without any repetition. That means you cannot repeat any word. And arrange them in a dictionary. Arrange them in a dictionary. I've already started using the word arrange and all. Okay, so that's how you're slowly moving towards the permutation side. Arrange them as in a dictionary. I hope all of you know how words are arranged in a dictionary. Most of you won't actually have got a chance to see a dictionary yet, because now Google is available, right? You can just type the word and get its, Yes, that's how you'll use 6 letters, right? Right? 6-letter words without any repetition, used from the letters CENTUM. Arrange them in a dictionary. Okay. Then what is the rank of the word centum in that dictionary? What is the rank or the position, or you can say serial number of the word centum in that dictionary? In the dictionary. How do you arrange a word in a dictionary? Alphabetical order. And now see, Madhav, see, there's an example who is saying that he doesn't know how the words are arranged in a dictionary. Now you understand, people in present generation do not know how dictionary is actually compiled. In dictionary, words are written in an alphabetical order. If they are not written, it will be very difficult to search for them. I'll give you an example. Let's say the word cat, right? If I make a dictionary which has got all 3-letter words, then my first word in that dictionary will be ACT. Next word will be ATC. Next will be CAT. Then will be CTA. Then will be TAC. Then TCA. Okay. So this is how you arrange them in a dictionary. Centum will be the first. Are you sure? Tenth. Alphabetical order. This is how you arrange it in alphabetical order. Okay, very good. 6. Okay. All right. So let us look into this. First of all, let me write these alphabets in alphabetical way. So C will come first, of course. Then will come E. Okay. Right. Then will come M. Then will come N. Then will come T. And then will come U. Okay. So if I make a dictionary, if at all I have to make one, which has got only the arrangements of these 6 alphabets, C, E, M, N, T, U, the very first word in that dictionary will be Kementu. Okay, right? Now, if I want to find out the rank of the word centum in that dictionary, okay, people are asking me to wait. So I'll give you one moment. Think about it. And again, the people who are making a minor changes like 9, 10, 8, 6 and all, please let me tell you, if at all these options were given to you in the exam, you will end up marking a wrong one. Your answer has to be exact, accurate. It cannot be like, okay, more or less it will be like this. Done? Okay. Now, if I want to count the rank of centum in the dictionary, I have to see how many words will precede centum. Correct? How many words will precede centum? Can I say the words which begin with C, E, M, they will all precede centum? Okay. So if you make all possible arrangement of the last 3 alphabets among themselves, the words that will be created henceforth or hence will be always be ranked before centum. Correct? So can I say these 3 can be interchanged in 3 factorial ways? See here, factorial is directly helping you to solve the question. Otherwise also you can say 3 into 2 into 1. That anyways boils down to 3 factorial. Okay. Now, let's say I use the word now CEM, all the words are taken care. Now next in line comes out to be CEN. Okay. Can I say when CEN comes, the very first word that will begin with CEN will have CENM. Correct? Now these 2 alphabets in the last 2 positions can be interchanged among themselves, and that can happen in 2 factorial ways. Okay. So whatever words are formed by the starting 4 alphabets C, E, N, M, they will definitely be above centum in that dictionary. Correct? Next comes C, E, N. Next in line is T. Centum also starts with T. Correct? So I have to be careful. I have to choose the next in line. So the next in line will be CENTMU. That will be one word. Okay. And finally comes our centum word, which is CENTUM when you exchange their positions. One more. So altogether you will have 6 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. That is your 10th word is centum in that dictionary. Now, this was something where you could have actually counted literally. Some of you would have probably done that. So I will make it a little bit more complicated. This time, the word which I'm going to choose is Krishna. Okay. If let's say you make all 7-letter words from the letter Krishna, of course, repetition not allowed. You can use only these alphabets KRISHNA all together and arrange it as you do it in a dictionary. Then what is the rank of the word Krishna in that dictionary? Okay. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. So basically we have to figure out how many words will precede Krishna in the dictionary. If you are able to get that, you will be able to get your answer also pretty quickly. Take your time, not in a rush. These are called dictionary questions. Okay, and they're also very, very commonly asked questions. In school also sometimes they ask these questions. Okay, Pranav. Okay, Shreyas, good. Let's have one more minute and then we can start the discussion. Okay. Everybody is giving me different answers. Everybody. Okay, Advik. Okay, Aditya. All right. Let's take up this. Okay, Shreyas. No issues. So let us look into this word. What will be the very first word that you will be able to write with Krishna? Okay, alphabetically, A will be the first one. E, F, G, H, I, K, N, R, S. Correct? So this will be the alphabetically first word. Correct? Now, let us figure out what would be the rank of Krishna by figuring out how many words will precede Krishna. So can I say all the words that begin with an A alphabet, right? They will definitely be above Krishna. So how many alphabets do you think begin with an A? So you'll say this can be filled in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is actually 6 factorial. So 720 words will precede, or 720 words will start with A. Similarly, can you say all words that start with H, that also is 6 factorial? Correct? They will also precede Krishna. Correct? All words that start with I. So blindly we can comment that these words will definitely precede Krishna. So your answer will be somewhere after 720 into 3. 720 into 3, which is almost 2160. So anybody who has given answer less than 2160, you are definitely wrong. Okay. Now, when we come to the word K, we have to be careful. Why? Because Krishna also starts with K. Okay. So we have to be extra cautious. I cannot blindly say that all words that begin with K will be above Krishna. No, I cannot say that. Because Krishna itself starts with K. So I have to choose the next in line. So the next in line is KA. Can I say all words that begin with KA will definitely be above Krishna, and they are 5 factorial in number? Correct. Similarly, all words that begin with KH, that will be above Krishna. That is again 5 factorial. All words that begin with KI, 5 factorial again. Correct. All words that begin with KN and KN only. Okay, wait for R to come. Okay. So add 120, 120, 120, 120 more to your answer. 700, 2160. Add these quantities to that value. Anyways, counting and all we can do at the end. Let us first figure out the final position. Next comes KR. Right? When KR comes, I cannot make a blind statement that all words that begin with KR will be above Krishna, because Krishna itself is also beginning with KR. Right? So what I have to do, I have to put next in line, which is going to be KRA. So all words that begin with KRA will be above Krishna. All words that begin with KRH will be above Krishna. All words that begin with KR, I, here we have to stop, because Krishna also begins with KRI. So I have to put the next in line, so which is KRIA. So that will be 3 factorial. Correct? Next will be KRIH. That is again 3 factorial. Then KRI. K I cannot use N. Correct? Yes or no? Okay. This is also 3 factorial. Okay. Now when it comes to KRIS, I have to be careful, because Krishna also begins with KRIS. So I have to put the next in line, which is KRISA. So can I say 2 factorial words will be formed by KRISA as the first word? Then KRISH. H when it comes, I have to be careful, because Krishna also starts with KRISH. Then obviously the next word here would be AN, which is one word. And finally NA, which is one more word. So basically you have to start adding from 6 factorial, 6 factorial, 6 factorial, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, like that. Okay. So let us add it. So you have 6 factorial 3 times. You have 5 factorial how many times? 4 times. Okay. You have 4 factorial 2 times. You have 3 factorial 3 times. Then you have a 2 plus 1 plus 1. Okay. Let's add 720 into 3, as we already discussed, 2160. 120 into 4 is 480. 24 into 2 is 48. 6 into 3 is 18. 18 plus 4. Okay. Oh, so sorry. So sorry. So sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Let's figure it out. How much is this? This is going to be 2640 and this is going to be 66 plus 4. 66 plus 4 is 70. So your 2710th term will be your Krishna. 2710th word. I think only Aditya answer I am seeing and Hariharan answer I am seeing and Advik's answer I am seeing. Rest everybody got it wrong. Some people have said 32 also. Mhm. I was off. Guys, let me tell you, the answers that will be given to you in the exam will be very close. Okay. You could get a like 2000, 2709, 2710, 2711, like that you will get. Okay. Even if you're off by one, you're gone. Okay. Good. Let's move on to the next question. Now, today's class, I'll be only talking about fundamental principle of counting because until unless this foundation is strong, we cannot handle, complicated concepts which are going to come later on. So I want your fundamental to be strong first of all. And don't fall for formula. Formula is not this chapter. This chapter uses formula. Okay, the number of 4-digit numbers that can be formed using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, such that the least number used is 4. So how many 4-digit numbers you can form with repetition? Read the last line. When repetition of digit is allowed, such that the least digit in that number is 4. Nishant, repetition is not allowed. Didn't I tell you that? How can you have a KRIR? R is already used up. Do you really think so, Hariharan? If yes, okay, go ahead and see whether you get any one of the options. I really doubt. Good. I have got responses from 2 of you. Of course, yes. 4 has to be used. Whether it is there in one of the places or whether it is there in all the places, 4 has to be used somewhere. At least one 4 you have to use. And whatever other digits are there, just that must be definitely be greater than 4. Think it's a deep question. I mean, don't be in a hurry to mark anything. Okay, almost 2.5 minutes gone. Yes, at least 1 4 in them. That's how it will become the least, right? And all others should be more than 4. That means 1, 2, 3 cannot be used at all. Because if any one of them appears, they will become the least. They will become lesser than 4. So Hariharan was partly right that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 would be used, but it's not as straightforward also. But 4 is compulsory, yes. Let's say if I use 5, 6, 7, 8, then the least number there would be 5, no? 4 is not there. Yeah, it's wrong, Madhav. Because it's not there in, probably not be there in the options, is it? Yes, Adrija, they can't be used. Let's say if I have a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, then how would the least digit there would be 4? The least digit there would be 1 then. Okay, almost 4 minutes passed, and I can see only 9 people responding with a very difference in the opinion. Let's conclude this in another 30 seconds. Okay, Aditya. So let's conclude in another 10 seconds. Take a guess if you're not able to solve it. No problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Most of you have said option B. B for Bengaluru. Now see guys here, it is very obvious that the choices that you have to make is from 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay. And if I have to form a 4-digit number with these as the options, and of course repetition is allowed, then this place can be filled in 6 ways, 6 ways, 6 ways, 6 ways. So you'll end up getting 6 to the power 4 as your answer, right? But wait a second. In this 6 to the power 4, there are those instances where 4 is not used at all. Correct? What if I have a number like 5555? Correct? In that case, the least digit is 5 itself. Or what if I have a number like 6, 7, 8, 9? That is also a part of this 6 to the power 4, right? So that is also one of the countings under 6 to the power 4. So such cases have to be excluded. Correct? Now, in order to exclude those cases, I will take the exclusion part of this problem where I would try to make a 4-digit number which doesn't have any 4 at all. Correct? So how many 4-digit numbers can you make from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? That means I don't want any 4 to appear. So you'll say 5, 5, 5, 5. Correct? Right? Correct, Hariharan? 5 to the power 4. So what I'm trying to say here is that if I do this subtraction, I will at least form those numbers which have, or I will end up getting those numbers which have at least 1 4 in them. Are you getting my point? This can have 4 number and without 4 number also. And this is without 4. So if I subtract it, that means there would be numbers or there would be such numbers in this counting which will definitely have at least 1 4 in their places. Right? This is my answer. So the answer is 6 to the power 4 minus 5 to the power 4, which is like 6 square plus 5 square times 6 square minus 5 square, which is like 36 plus 25. 36 plus 25 is 61. And 36 minus 25, that is 36 minus 25 is 11. So answer is 61 into 11. How much is that? 61, 61, 671. 671 will be your answer. Is it there? Yeah, it is clearly option number B. Again, I'm just testing you on your skills of counting, right? Knowing multiplication theorem and knowing addition principle, etc., doesn't help till you know how to apply them. Good enough? Can we move on to the next question? Any questions here? Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's take this one. Yes, of course, Shashwat. As I told you, there are certain topics in maths which they are not formula driven, or they are, of course, formulas are everywhere, but you cannot solve them till you know the way to solve it. And the biggest of such chapters is your number theory. Number theory, combinatorics, geometry. This combination is really, really very strong, testing grounds for people who want to, scale up in maths. That is why these topics find places in RMO, PRMO, INMO, IMNO, INMO, and IMO, and all those topics. Because they really test you on your thinking skills. It is not like you have your calculus, method of differentiation, and you are applying that method to get your answer. All right, let's take this question. How many 6-digit numbers are there in which no digit is repeated? Even digits appear at even places. Okay. Odd digits appear at odd places. Okay. Number is divisible by 4. Okay. So three conditions with me. So I have to make a 6-digit number. Let's put the places. This is your first place. This is your second place. This is your third place. This is your fourth. This is your fifth. This is your sixth. Okay. You have to place your digits in such a way that only even number can come at even places. Okay, and only odd number can come at odd places. And finally, a number should be also divisible by, so this 6-digit number should be divisible by 4. How many ways can you make such numbers? Poll is on. Good, I've got response from one person so far. Let's have one more minute and then we'll discuss it. We'll check, Madhav, don't worry. Okay, in another 15 seconds, we'll close the poll. So please wrap this up in another 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Maximum Janta has gone for D. Okay, D for Delhi. Let's check. See, if you want a number to be, first of all, divisible by 4, okay, we all know our basic divisibility tests, that a number divisible by 4 must have the last 2 digits divisible by 4, right? No matter whatever is the number of digits in that particular number, if the last 2 digit is divisible by 4, then that number is divisible by 4. I hope all of you know that. Okay. So think of last 2 digits in such a way that there is an odd number over here and there is an even number over here, and this combination is a multiple of 4. So what all thoughts comes to my mind? First comes is 12, then 16. 20 cannot be there, 24 cannot be there, 28 cannot be there, then 32, 36, 40 cannot be there, 44 cannot be there, 48 cannot be there, 52, 56, similarly 72, 76, 92, 96, correct? So if I check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 ways to fill the last 2 digits of this particular number. So either 12 can come, 16 can come, 32 can come, 52, 56, 72, 76, 92, 96 can come. Okay, any doubts so far? So the last 2 places of this 6-digit number can only be filled in 10 ways. Now, if you do a very deep analysis of these numbers that you have written, you would realize that in the last place, either a 2 or a 6 will come. As you can see, 2, 6, 2, 6, 2, 6, 2, 6, 2, 6. And in the 5th place, either 1, 3, 5, 7 or 9 will come. Right? What does it mean? It means that you would lose out 1 of 2s and 6 in the 6th place. That means you have to sacrifice 1 of 2 or 6 in the 6th place. And you have to sacrifice one of the odd numbers in the 5th place. Correct? Let us start now with the first position. First position, I can only fill in with an odd number because that is the requirement of the question. And one of the odd numbers already got sacrificed. Okay. Balidan, it got Balidan in 5th place. So I only have 4 options to fill this place. So I can fill this in only 4 ways. Correct? So let's say 1 is lost. So I can only fill it with either 3, 5, 7 or 9. Okay. Second place I can fill up with how many ways? Again 4, can I say? Because now 0 is available. Correct? Let's say I lost 2. So 0, 4, 6, 8. 4 ways. Correct? One even number I would lose from 2 and 6. Definitely it is not going to be 0 for sure. Correct? So 0 can be available. And the remaining 3, that is 4, 6, 8, that could be available. So 3 plus 1, 4 are available for the second place. Third place, only 3 will be available. Right? Because 2 odd numbers I have already lost out of 5. Similarly, third, 3 ways to fill this also, right? So altogether your answer will be 4 into 4 into 3 into 3 into last two was 10. So let's check how much it comes out. 16 into 9 into 10. 16 into 9 is 144. 144 into 10, which is 1440. That's there in your option number D. So D is the correct option, right? So next class when we meet, we are going to actually start with the chapter. This was all I was creating the background. Now it will be like a fast flow. Now you'll be learning the permutation formula, how to use it, how to use permutation under different constraints. Then we'll learn combinations, and of course, a lot of constraints will come there also. So I think 2 more classes or 3 more classes would be required from here on. So for tomorrow's test, whatever we have done till now, that will be asked. Yes, till this point. Okay. All right. Thank you. Take care and all the best for tomorrow's test.